The 17 legendary black supermodels then and now. What if the glamorous faces that defined fashion were hiding battles the cameras never captured before Naomi Campbell? Tyra Banks and Iman became global icons. Pioneers like Donielle, Luna, Naomi Sims, Pat Cleveland and Bethan Hardison were already challenging an industry that often refused to treat black beauty equally. Behind the legendary covers and unforgettable runways were stories of racism, rejection, illness, sacrifice, heartbreak, and extraordinary resilience. Some of these women opened doors they were never allowed to fully enjoy themselves. So which black supermodel changed fashion forever and whose legacy has been overlooked? Stay with us until the end. Comment your favorite below and subscribe to Golden Black Legends as we reveal their incredible then and now journeys. Naomi Campbell. At 56 years old in 2026, Naomi Campbell remains one of the most recognizable figures ever to walk a runway. Born in South London in 1970, Campbell entered entertainment as a child before being discovered as a model at 15. Within only a few years, she was working internationally, entering an industry where black women were still routinely offered fewer opportunities than their white counterparts. Her combination of commanding presence, precision, and an unmistakable runway walk soon made her impossible to overlook. In August 1988, at just 18, Campbell became the first black model to appear on the cover of French Vogue. She later became part of the elite generation of 1990s supermodels, working with legendary fashion houses, including Versace, Chanel, Prada, and Yves Saint Laurent. Yet her success never meant racial barriers disappeared. Campbell has repeatedly discussed unequal treatment, limited campaigns, and the pressure black models faced even after achieving international fame. Her journey was also complicated by controversy. Highly publicized legal cases and allegations involving aggressive behavior sometimes threatened to overshadow her professional achievements. Decades later, another controversy emerged around Fashion for Relief, the charity Campbell founded. In 2024, Britain's Charity Commission disqualified her from serving as a charity trustee for 5 years after finding serious governance and financial management failures. Campbell disputed the findings against her and pursued a challenge. Still, the then and now contrast is extraordinary. The teenager who entered fashion when black models were frequently treated as exceptions became an enduring global fashion icon whose career has stretched across more than 4 decades. Naomi Campbell's legacy is therefore neither flawless nor simple. It contains historic breakthroughs, controversy, resilience, and enormous cultural influence. Fashion changed dramatically during her lifetime, and Campbell was one of the women who helped force that change. Iman Abdulmajid, Iman. At 71 years old in 2026, Iman remains one of the most influential black models ever to enter international fashion. Born in Mogadishu, Somalia, in 1955, she spent part of her youth studying abroad and later attended the University of Nairobi, where she studied political science. Her life changed after photographer Peter Beard encountered her in Kenya and encouraged her to pursue modeling. By 1975, she had arrived in New York, entering an industry fascinated by her appearance but often eager to package her African identity through stereotypes. Iman quickly became a favorite of major designers, working with figures including Yves Saint Laurent, Halston, Gianni Versace, and Donna Karan. Saint Laurent famously considered her an ideal muse, and her elegant presence helped establish her as one of fashion's defining black faces. Yet behind the glamorous photographs was an industry poorly equipped to serve women with darker complexions. Makeup artists frequently lacked suitable foundation shades, forcing Iman to mix products herself. Rather than simply complain about that exclusion, she turned the problem into a business. In 1994, she launched Iman Cosmetics, creating products designed specifically for women with a broad range of skin tones. Her transition from model to entrepreneur demonstrated that representation could extend beyond appearing in advertisements. It could mean controlling the products and businesses behind them. Her private life brought profound love and loss. Iman married musician David Bowie in 1992, and their daughter Alexandria was born in 2000. When Bowie died from cancer in January 2016, Iman described their bond as enduring beyond death. The young Somali woman, once marketed as an exotic discovery, ultimately became far more powerful than the industry's original narrative. Iman didn't simply model beauty. She recognized who the beauty industry was ignoring and built something for them herself. Tyra Banks, 52 years old in 2026. Tyra Banks has lived several professional lives: supermodel, television host, producer, entrepreneur, and one of the most recognizable personalities fashion has produced. Born in California in 1973, Banks began modeling as a teenager. Success was hardly immediate. Multiple agencies rejected her before she secured representation, and at 17 she traveled to Paris for her first major European fashion season. Her arrival was explosive. Banks reportedly booked 25 runway shows during her first Paris season, quickly establishing herself among international designers. By the 1990s, she was moving beyond runway success into historic territory. Banks became the first black woman to appear alone on the cover of GQ, and in 1997 the first black woman featured solo on the cover of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. She also became one of the most recognizable Victoria's Secret models of her generation. Banks eventually realized that longevity might require controlling the camera rather than simply standing before it. In 2003, she created America's Next Top Model, transforming modeling into reality television entertainment and introducing millions of viewers to the mechanics and drama of fashion. The program became enormously successful, although some of its challenges and treatment of contestants have received considerable criticism in retrospect. Away from television, Banks faced an intensely personal struggle with fertility. After unsuccessful IVF treatments, she welcomed her son, York Banks Asla, through gestational surrogacy in January 2016. Then came another remarkable full-circle moment. In October 2024, Banks returned to the Victoria's Secret fashion show, closing the runway nearly 2 decades after her previous appearance. Once a teenager, repeatedly rejected by agencies, Tyra eventually became someone capable of creating opportunities herself. Her then and now transformation wasn't simply about aging, it was about moving from model to decision maker. Alec Weck, at 49 years old in 2026. Alec Weck represents something larger than an extraordinary modeling career. Born in what is now South Sudan in 1977, Weck grew up amid civil conflict. Her family was forced to flee, and she eventually reached Britain as a teenager, carrying memories of displacement and the loss of the life she had known. Fashion arrived unexpectedly. While studying art in London, Weck was discovered at Crystal Palace Market at 18. Her closely cropped hair, deep complexion, and unmistakable presence challenged beauty standards that still strongly favored Eurocentric features and often marginalized very dark-skinned African women. She soon appeared in major editorials and walked for designers including Alexander McQueen and Chanel. Her impact extended beyond the runway. In 1997, Weck became one of fashion's defining faces, demonstrating that African features did not need to be softened or altered to become internationally celebrated. Years later, actress Lupita Nyong'o publicly described how seeing Weck embraced by fashion changed her perception of her own dark complexion. Yet Weck never separated professional success from the displacement that shaped her childhood. She documented a return journey to South Sudan with her mother and later wrote about her experiences in her memoir. Beginning in 2011, she worked closely with UNHCR, becoming a Goodwill ambassador in 2013 and advocating for refugees and displaced people before concluding that formal role in 2023. That makes her then and now story especially powerful. The teenager who once fled war eventually walked some of fashion's most prestigious stages and used the visibility those stages provided to speak for people forced from their homes. Alec Weck didn't change herself to satisfy fashion. Her success helped change what fashion was willing to call beautiful. Beverly Johnson, At 73 years old in 2026, Beverly Johnson remains inseparable from one of the most important magazine covers in American fashion history. Born in Buffalo, New York in 1952, Johnson originally imagined a very different future and had considered pursuing law. Modeling redirected that path, eventually placing her at the center of a barrier that had survived for decades. In August 1974, Johnson became the first black woman to appear on the cover of American Vogue. The image was more than another successful booking. At a time when black women were routinely excluded from fashion's most prestigious platforms, that cover provided visible evidence that the industry's definition of high fashion beauty could no longer remain exclusively white. But the achievement came with a disturbing personal cost. Johnson later revealed that extreme pressure to remain thin contributed to dangerous eating habits and cocaine use. She described surviving at one stage on extraordinarily little food while her body deteriorated. Eventually, intervention from her mother helped force her to confront what the industry's expectations were doing to her health. Johnson survived that period and expanded beyond modeling into acting, television, writing, and business. Instead of romanticizing the industry that made her famous, she increasingly spoke about its racial inequality. In 2020, she proposed what became known as the Beverly Johnson Rule, encouraging companies to interview black candidates for influential positions rather than limiting diversity to the faces appearing before cameras. Half a century after her historic Vogue breakthrough, Johnson could look back at an industry undeniably changed but not completely transformed. Her legacy carries both sides of that history, the beauty of breaking a barrier and the painful price sometimes demanded from the person who breaks it first. Donyale Luna. Donyale Luna was only 33 when she died in 1979, yet her brief career permanently altered the visual language of fashion. Born Peggy Ann Freeman in Detroit in 1945, she reinvented herself as Donyale Luna and moved to New York after photographer David McCabe recognized her extraordinary presence. At nearly 6 feet tall, with dramatic features and an unconventional style, Luna entered an industry where black women were still largely excluded from prestigious editorial work. Her breakthrough was historic. In March 1966, Luna appeared on the cover of British Vogue, becoming the first black model to front any edition of Vogue. She worked with celebrated photographers, including Richard Avedon and David Bailey, and modeled designs associated with Paco Rabanne and Yves Saint Laurent. But being groundbreaking did not mean being protected. Racism restricted opportunities, while fashion publications frequently exoticized Luna rather than recognizing the complete person behind the photographs. Instead of conforming, she cultivated an enigmatic public persona and moved through the creative worlds of London, Paris, and Rome. Luna also crossed into cinema. She appeared in Andy Warhol-related projects, Michelangelo Antonioni's Blow Up and Federico Fellini's Satyricon. Yet by the late 1970s, her career had become less stable. On May 17, 1979, Luna died in Rome from an accidental heroin overdose, leaving behind her husband, photographer Luigi Cazzaniga, and their young daughter. For decades, her contribution received less recognition than it deserved. The 2023 documentary Donyale Luna Supermodel helped introduce her story to another generation. Her then and now has no conventional present-day photograph. Instead, there is a legacy. Before many celebrated black supermodels could enter fashion's biggest rooms, Donyale Luna had already broken through the door. Joan Smalls. At 38 years old in 2026, Joan Smalls has evolved from a determined Puerto Rican newcomer into one of the defining models of her generation. Born in Hatillo, Puerto Rico in 1988, Smalls grew up in a multicultural family and earned a psychology degree before pursuing modeling seriously in New York. Her early career required persistence, but everything accelerated when she became an exclusive model for Givenchy's Spring-Summer 2010 haute couture presentation. Suddenly, international fashion was paying attention. Estée Lauder named her its first Latina global spokesmodel in 2011, and by 2012, Models.com had ranked her the world's #1 model. Behind that controlled runway presence, Smalls was managing a physical condition she had lived with since childhood: scoliosis. Strength training helped her manage discomfort and build the physical endurance demanded by lengthy shoots and runway work. But professional success brought another struggle: racial discrimination. Smalls has described being treated as the token black girl, encountering clients unfamiliar with photographing black models, and hearing criticism surrounding her natural hair. Reaching fashion's highest level did not automatically eliminate the prejudices she encountered along the way. By 2020, Smalls was publicly demanding greater accountability from the industry. She pledged half of her earnings for the remainder of that year to organizations advancing racial equality, and called for more black professionals in positions where casting, compensation, and creative decisions are made. Her longevity provides the strongest then and now contrast. More than 15 years after her Givenchy breakthrough, she remained active at fashion's highest levels, including major runway and campaign appearances. Joan Smalls entered the industry fighting to earn one opportunity. She stayed long enough to gain the influence to question why those opportunities were unequal in the first place. Pat Cleveland. At 76 years old in 2026, Pat Cleveland remains living evidence of an era when black models had to transform fashion while simultaneously fighting for permission to participate in it. Raised in Harlem, Cleveland was discovered as a teenager and quickly developed a runway style unlike almost anyone around her: dramatic turns, expressive movement, theatrical gestures, and an infectious sense of joy. Her early career included Ebony Fashion Fair, but Europe offered opportunities that American fashion frequently withheld. One defining moment came in 1973, when Cleveland joined the group of black models participating in the legendary Battle of Versailles fashion show, where American designers competed against established French couture houses. Their energetic performances became central to the Americans' celebrated success. Yet applause could not erase discrimination. Cleveland became so frustrated by racism in American fashion that she vowed not to work in the United States again until a black woman appeared on the cover of American Vogue. Beverly Johnson finally broke that barrier in 1974. Decades later, Cleveland faced a very different battle. After walking the Tommy Hilfiger x Zendaya presentation in Paris in March 2019, she became seriously ill. Doctors discovered colon cancer, leading to emergency surgery that removed part of her colon. Her family subsequently disclosed that inadequate insurance had left substantial medical expenses, prompting members of the fashion community to support a fundraiser. Remarkably, Cleveland returned to the runway roughly 6 months after surgery. Her comeback carried decades of history with it. Her memoir, Walking with the Muses, further preserved memories of Harlem, Paris, Halston, Versailles, and the racial realities surrounding her generation. Once Pat Cleveland danced down runways fighting for black visibility. Decades later, after fashion revolutions, motherhood, and cancer, the woman who helped change the runway was still walking it. Leah Kebede. At 48 years old in 2026, Leah Kebede represents a form of supermodel influence that extends far beyond fashion. Born in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, in 1978, Kebede began modeling while young and eventually moved to Paris, where her understated elegance attracted international attention. Before long, she was working with major designers and appearing across prestigious fashion publications. A major breakthrough came in 2003 when Estée Lauder selected Kebede as its first black model spokesperson, placing an Ethiopian woman at the center of one of the world's most recognizable beauty companies. But as her international profile grew, Kebede increasingly focused on realities far removed from luxury campaigns. Maternal health became particularly important. Having grown up in Ethiopia, she understood that pregnancy and childbirth could become life-threatening when women lacked access to trained medical professionals. After becoming a mother herself, she used her international platform to address the issue. In 2005, Kebede became a World Health Organization Goodwill Ambassador for maternal, newborn, and child health. She subsequently established the Leah Kebede Foundation, supporting initiatives designed to improve maternal health care and access to trained professionals. She then connected fashion back to Ethiopia. In 2007, Kebede founded Lemlem, inspired by traditional Ethiopian weaving and the need to preserve craftsmanship and employment. She also developed an acting career, appearing in films, including Desert Flower, based on Waris Diri's life. That makes her transformation especially meaningful. The teenager who entered fashion-seeking opportunity eventually learned how to redirect fashion's attention toward communities rarely visible on magazine covers. Leah Kebede became famous for representing luxury, but built her deeper legacy by using that visibility to represent lives far beyond the runway. Veronica Webb. At 61 years old in 2026, Veronica Webb remains a powerful example of how a model can turn a breakthrough into a multi-dimensional career. Born in Detroit, Michigan in 1965, Webb moved to New York intending to study design and animation at Parsons. Fashion unexpectedly changed that plan after her distinctive appearance attracted attention and modeling opportunities followed. By the late 1980s and early 1990s, Webb was working with major fashion houses including Chanel, Versace, Azzedine Alaïa, and Isaac Mizrahi. But her defining achievement came in 1992 when Revlon signed her to an exclusive agreement, making Webb widely recognized as the first black model to secure a major cosmetics contract. That milestone represented more than personal success. Beauty contracts provided money, visibility, and commercial influence, yet black models had historically been denied equal access to them. Webb's deal demonstrated that a black woman could be positioned as the face of a mainstream beauty company rather than treated as a niche addition. Webb also possessed something fashion could not confine to photographs: a strong voice. She wrote essays and columns addressing race, beauty culture, and her experiences within an industry where she was frequently the only black woman in the room. She expanded into acting and appeared in films including Jungle Fever and Malcolm X. Decades later, Webb continued modeling selectively. In 2024, approaching 6 decades of life, she appeared on the cover of Harper's Bazaar, Vietnam, demonstrating how dramatically attitudes toward aging models had evolved. Then she was a young Detroit woman entering rooms where black beauty still required justification. Now she represents longevity itself. Veronica Webb didn't simply earn a place in fashion, she helped prove that black beauty could carry luxury, intelligence, commercial power, and age without apology. Karen Alexander. At 60 years old in 2026, Karen Alexander carries a story in which fashion history and physical survival eventually became inseparable. Born in New Jersey in 1965, Alexander encountered rejection almost immediately when pursuing modeling. Agencies found different reasons to turn her away: too tall, too short, too muscular, or supposedly not commercial enough. She persisted until representation finally came, and by the late 1980s, Alexander was working with major names including Calvin Klein and Ralph Lauren. She appeared in Sports Illustrated and on Vogue, while also becoming an important black presence in major fashion publications. Yet success never completely removed racial barriers. She still encountered clients unwilling to hire black models. Alexander later prioritized motherhood and accepted fewer assignments rather than allowing fashion to dictate her family life. Then, at an age when the industry traditionally considered women finished, she returned to modeling in her 50s, signing with IMG and appearing in a L'Oreal campaign. But 2016 brought a far more serious challenge. Alexander was diagnosed with dermatomyositis, a rare autoimmune disease involving inflammation that can cause muscle weakness and skin symptoms. Her struggle included concerns surrounding mobility, swallowing, and hair loss. Instead of concealing that reality, she began discussing the disease publicly and supporting awareness efforts. In 2024, the Myositis Association honored her with its Patient Ambassador Award. Alexander's then and now transformation is therefore deeper than aging gracefully. The young woman, once judged entirely by her body, eventually had to fight to preserve what that body could do. Karen Alexander survived fashion standards and then confronted a disease that gave beauty strength and longevity entirely new meanings. Monia Monique Antoine Orosmane. At 69 years old in 2026, Monia stands among the important black models who helped reshape European haute couture during an era when women with dark skin were still uncommon on its most prestigious runways. Born Monique Antoine Orosmane in Martinique in 1957, she did not begin life expecting to become a Paris fashion figure. Before modeling, she worked as an airport announcer, far removed from the couture houses that would later define her public image. Her professional breakthrough came after arriving in Paris. In 1976, at 19, Monia began modeling for Hubert de Givenchy. Soon afterward, she attracted the attention of Yves Saint Laurent, whose relationship with black models was unusually significant for that period. Monia became one of his prominent muses, bringing movement elegance and unmistakable presence to his collections. Her career expanded to work connected with houses including Chanel Ungaro and Versace. Yet her achievements unfolded against a fashion culture where black women could be celebrated visually while remaining severely underrepresented. Monia later recalled breaking barriers within couture, including her work for Chanel. What makes her then and now journey especially interesting is that she refused to remain frozen in old runway photographs. After modeling, Monia developed another creative identity as a painter, exhibited her artwork, internationally recorded music, and became involved in charitable activities. France recognized her contributions by naming her a Knight of the National Order of Merit in 2009. Once she was a young Martinican woman, entering elite Parisian rooms where models who looked like her remained rare. Decades later, she represents an almost forgotten generation of black fashion pioneers. Monia didn't simply wear couture, she helped prove that black women could become part of its history. Bethan Hardison. At 83 years old in 2026, Bethan Hardison represents something unusual in fashion history. She first challenged the industry from the runway and then spent decades challenging it from behind the scenes. Born in Brooklyn, New York in 1942, Hardison did not originally plan on becoming a model. After working in New York's garment industry, however, she gradually found herself in front of the camera and on runways during a period when black models were fighting for meaningful visibility. Her defining early moment came in 1973 at the Battle of Versailles, the legendary fashion event that placed American designers against established French couture houses. Hardison was among the black models whose energetic performances helped the American presentation make an unforgettable impression. But modeling became only the first chapter. After leaving regular runway work, Hardison moved into fashion management and advocacy. In 1984, she founded the Bethan Management Agency, representing a diverse roster of models and helping develop careers, including that of Tyson Beckford. Her experience had taught her that representation mattered not only in photographs but also in the rooms where careers were created. In 1988, Hardison and E-Man helped establish the Black Girls Coalition, advocating for black models and addressing discrimination within fashion. Decades later, Hardison founded the Diversity Coalition, publicly confronting designers and fashion houses over the declining use of models of color. Her work made her an important bridge between generations, from the black models of the 1970s to contemporary conversations about inclusion. Unlike many supermodels, Hardison's greatest legacy may not be a single cover or campaign. It is the infrastructure she helped create after leaving the runway. Bethan Hardison didn't stop when fashion finally saw her. She spent the rest of her career making sure the industry could no longer pretend it didn't see the black models coming behind her. Deborah Shaw. At 48 years old in 2026, Deborah Shaw remains one of the most distinctive black runway models to emerge from the high fashion world of the 1990s. Born in Philadelphia in 1977, Shaw entered an industry dominated by a generation of globally famous supermodels, yet her unconventional beauty and extraordinary runway presence allowed her to establish an identity entirely her own. Shaw's career accelerated after she moved into international fashion. Rather than fitting the softer commercial image frequently demanded of models, she became celebrated for strong facial features, a shaved head, theatrical intensity, and an almost futuristic presence. Those qualities made her particularly suited to designers interested in challenging traditional definitions of beauty. During the 1990s and early 2000s, Shaw worked for some of fashion's most influential houses and designers, including Alexander McQueen, John Galliano, Thierry Mugler, Jean-Paul Gaultier, and Christian Dior. Her runway appearances were often more than straightforward presentations of clothing. In the hands of experimental designers, models became characters, and Shaw possessed the ability to make those characters unforgettable. Her association with Alexander McQueen became especially memorable. Shaw appeared in several of his provocative presentations during an era when his runway shows were redefining fashion as theatrical spectacle, but her significance also reflects a larger contradiction. Black models could become unforgettable components of landmark shows while receiving less mainstream recognition than white contemporaries. That is why Shaw deserves inclusion in a story about legendary black models. She represents the avant-garde side of the supermodel era, the women whose faces may not always have dominated celebrity magazines, but whose presence helped create fashion history. Decades after her breakthrough, archival runway footage continues introducing Shaw to younger fashion audiences. Deborah Shaw proved that a model didn't need conventional beauty to command a runway. Sometimes the face fashion considered unusual became the one viewers remembered longest. Naomi Sims. Naomi Sims was 61 when she died in 2009, but her influence had already transformed American fashion. Born in Oxford, Mississippi in 1948 and raised primarily in Pittsburgh, Sims arrived in New York during the 1960s, hoping to build a modeling career. Major agencies repeatedly rejected her, exposing just how firmly racial barriers still controlled the industry. Instead of surrendering, Sims created her own route. She approached photographers directly and arranged an innovative agreement with Wilhelmina Cooper's agency. Sims would secure opportunities herself while the agency received a commission. That persistence produced a breakthrough when she appeared on the cover of the New York Times fashion supplement in 1967. In November 1968, she became the first black model to cover Ladies' Home Journal, followed by a prominent Life magazine cover in 1969. Her success arrived during the rise of the Black is Beautiful movement, yet working conditions remained unequal. Stylists frequently lacked experience with black hair, while makeup artists were often poorly prepared for darker complexions. Sims learned to navigate problems that white models rarely encountered. Remarkably, she stepped away from regular modeling in 1973 while still successful. Rather than waiting for fashion to decide her career was finished, Sims reinvented herself as an entrepreneur. She developed wigs specifically for black women, eventually expanding into cosmetics, fragrances, beauty salons, and publishing. Sims died from breast cancer on August 1, 2009, leaving behind a legacy far larger than her photographs. Her then and now story, therefore, ends differently from those of living supermodels. There is no present-day runway comeback, only an influence that remains unmistakable. Naomi Sims didn't merely prove that a black woman belonged in high fashion. She showed that once visibility was achieved, ownership could become the next revolution. Jourdan Dunn. At 36 years old in 2026, Jourdan Dunn has traveled an extraordinary distance from being discovered as a teenager in an ordinary London clothing store. Born in Brent, London in 1990 and raised in Greenford, Dunn was spotted by a modeling scout while shopping in Primark. Within only a few years, she was walking among fashion's biggest names. In 2008, Dunn became the first black model in more than a decade to walk a Prada runway. That same year, she appeared in the landmark all-black issue of Vogue Italia, photographed by Steven Meisel. These achievements made her part of a new generation, challenging the persistent scarcity of black women on major runways. But at 19, Dunn's priorities changed profoundly when she became a mother. Her son Riley was diagnosed with sickle cell disease. Dunn and Riley's father both carry sickle cell trait, which meant their child had a 1 in 4 chance of inheriting the condition. Watching her son experience painful episodes brought a reality no glamorous campaign could soften. Instead of keeping that struggle entirely private, Dunn used her visibility to raise awareness. She supported organizations including the Sickle Cell Society, discussed blood donation, and spoke publicly about the emotional reality of parenting a child with the disease. Meanwhile, her fashion career continued through major campaigns, magazine covers, and international runways. The teenager, who entered casting rooms when designers could still treat one black model as sufficient, became an established figure with years of industry experience. Her evolution cannot be measured only through photographs. Jordan Dunn's greatest transformation came when the young model chasing opportunity became a mother, using her fame to give an overlooked disease greater visibility. Alva Chin, at 68 years old in 2026. Alva Chin belongs to a pioneering generation of black American models whose influence extends far beyond the photographs they left behind. Born in Boston in 1957 and raised in New York, Chin entered professional modeling during the early 1970s, when black women were beginning to gain greater runway visibility but still encountered enormous racial barriers. Her most historically important appearance came on November 28, 1973, at the legendary Battle of Versailles fashion show in France. The event brought 5 American designers into competition with 5 established French houses. Chin joined a remarkable group of black models whose movement, personality, and energy helped transform the American presentation into the evening's sensation. That group included women such as Pat Cleveland and Bethan Hardison, placing Chin directly inside one of the most frequently celebrated turning points in American fashion history. After Versailles, her career continued internationally. Chin worked in New York and Europe and became associated with designers including Halston, whose streamlined vision helped define American fashion during the 1970s. Her statuesque appearance and commanding runway presence made her part of a generation that demonstrated black models could embody luxury without being treated merely as exotic additions. Yet Chin never achieved the household name recognition later enjoyed by Naomi Campbell or Tyra Banks. That difference makes her inclusion particularly valuable. Legendary does not have to mean universally famous. Sometimes it means participating in the moment that made later success possible. More than 5 decades after Versailles, Chin remains connected to a history younger audiences are increasingly rediscovering. Alva Chin walked when black models still had to prove they belonged on fashion's greatest stages and helped create a future where the next generation would no longer have to ask permission. From Danielle, Luna, and Naomi, Sims breaking barriers before the word supermodel carried today's power to Naomi Campbell, Iman, Tyra Banks, and Alec Weck commanding the global stage. These 17 women changed fashion forever. Their journeys reveal glamorous triumphs, but also racism, rejection, illness, personal loss, and sacrifices hidden behind iconic photographs. Some built businesses, others became advocates, and several opened doors they never fully benefited from themselves. But one question remains: which of these legendary black models truly changed fashion the most, and who still hasn't received the recognition she deserves? Share your choice and your reasons in the comments. If these stories brought back memories like this video, and subscribe to Golden Black Legends for more unforgettable stories celebrating black icons and their legacies.